Hello and welcome to Data Science for Everyone. This is the third video of a video series on how to perform statistical analysis in Python. In the previous two videos, we talked about how we can analyze any dataset using measures of center and spread and learnt about probabilities. In this video, I'll be talking about distributions and the central limit theorem, which are key concepts in statistics, and I'll show you how to use Python to demonstrate these concepts. In the previous video, we looked at uniform distribution. The next probability distribution we'll explore is called the normal distribution. A normal distribution is a symmetrical bell-shaped curve as shown here. And like any continuous probability distribution, the total area beneath the curve is 1. At the far edges, on the left and right side, the curve gets closer and closer to 0, but never quite reaches it. Those extreme values towards the edges, though rare, still have some chance of occurring. Every normal distribution is described using two key numbers: its mean, which is the center of the curve, and its standard deviation, which controls the spread. The plot we see here has a mean of 10 and a standard deviation of 5. On the right hand side, we see a normal distribution with a mean of 0 and standard deviation of 1. This is a special type of normal distribution called the standard normal distribution. It is important to note that both distributions have the same shape, but the axes have different scales. In a normal distribution, about 68% of the values lie within one standard deviation from the mean, 95% values within 2 standard deviation of the mean, and 99.7% of the values within 3 standard deviations of the mean. This pattern, called the 68-95-99.7 rule, is fundamental in interpreting data that follows a normal distribution. Let's look at a real-world example. Suppose we have measured the heights of several trees and stored in a file called tree_h.csv. We'll import this dataset using the pandas read CSV function and plot it using the matplotlib plotting library. If we plot the heights of the trees, we'll see that it will have a shape of a normal distribution. If you want to try it yourself, the link to the data is in the description below. As we can see here, the mean tree heights is around 15 meters. Since the tree heights follow a normal distribution, it becomes easy to answer several questions about the dataset. Let's ask, what percent of trees are shorter than 12 meters? We'll use the scipy.stats package to answer this question. We'll import norm from scipy.stats, then we will call norm.cdf with 12 as the first argument, followed by the mean and standard deviation of the tree heights. The mean and standard deviation were calculated using the mean and std function from NumPy. As we can see, 14% of the trees are shorter than 12 meters. To find the percent of trees taller than 17 meters, we'll first find the trees shorter than 17 meters using the norm.cdf function as shown. Then we will subtract the result from 1. As we can see, 23% of trees are taller than 17 meters. To find the percent of trees whose heights fall between 13 and 18 meters, we simply compute the area below 18 meters and subtract it from the area below 13 meters. We can see that 62% of the trees fall between 13 and 18 meters. We can also calculate percentages of tree heights using norm.ppf function. To determine the height below which 40% of the trees fall, we pass in 0.4 into the norm.ppf function along with mean and standard deviation of the tree height distribution. This tells us that 40% of the trees are shorter than 14 meters. We can figure out the height that 40% of the trees are taller than, since this is also the height that 60% of the trees are shorter than. We take 1 minus 0.4 to get to 0.6, which we then use as the first argument of norm.ppf. We can also generate random numbers from a normal distribution. To do so, we'll use the norm.rvs function. To generate 5 random tree heights that follow a normal distribution, we'll call the norm.rvs function with the desired mean as the first argument, the standard deviation as the second argument, and the desired size of 5 as the third argument. Now that we understand normal distribution, let's explore the central limit theorem, which is a powerful concept in statistical analysis. Let's look at this die roll example. Here we have created a die which contains numbers 1 through 6 representing each face of a fair die. We are simulating 5 rolls using the sample function and calculating the average number from the rolls. If we repeat the process another time, it gives us different result. We can repeat this process multiple times and take the average of each rolls. Here, using a for loop, we have generated 30 different means, each representing the average of 5 die rolls. We can plot these means to visualize the distribution. I have used matplotlib to generate a histogram of this distribution. By the way, if you want to learn how to use matplotlib, I have made a tutorial video on this channel. I'll link it in the video description. Now let's increase the number of trials to 10,000 and plot the results. We see that when we plot these 10,000 sample means, the shape starts to roughly form a bell-shaped curve, even though the individual die rolls are not distributed like that. As the number of samples increases, the distribution of sample means becomes smoother and looks like a normal distribution. This effect illustrates the central limit theorem. As the number of random independent sample increases, their sampling distribution tends to look like a normal distribution. It's important to note that the central limit theorem only applies when samples are taken randomly and are independent, which in our case are die rolls with replacement. The mean of the sampling distribution approximates the true population mean. Even without knowing the full population, sampling repeatedly lets us estimate the population characteristics. That is the real power of the central limit theorem, turning small random samples into insights about the whole population. We are going to end this video with another probability distribution called the Poisson distribution. A Poisson distribution is a way to describe how often random events happen. Before we dive into the code, let's picture what a Poisson distribution actually means. Think of something that happens randomly but at a consistent overall rate, like the number of coffee orders placed in a cafe every hour. Maybe on average there are 12 orders per hour, but sometimes there are fewer and sometimes more. That is randomness. Yet the consistency overall defines what a Poisson distribution is. The same logic could apply to the number of emails we get per day or the number of meteor sightings per month. The time unit doesn't matter as long as it stays consistent. Poisson distribution helps us figure out the probability of observing a specific number of events over a set period of time. For example, we might want to know the chances that 15 customers will order coffee in a given hour, or that only 2 meteor sightings will happen in a month. This distribution helps us quantify these probabilities. At the core of every Poisson distribution is a single parameter called lambda, representing the average number of events in one time interval. For example, if our cafe gets on average 12 orders per hour, then lambda equals to 12. This value is both the expected mean and the rate parameter. If we visualize it, most outcomes will cluster near 12, but there could be times with 6 or even 16 orders. Lambda doesn't just set the average, it also changes the shape. A Poisson distribution with lambda equals to 2 looks very different from the one with lambda equals to 12. But in every case, the peak of that distribution always lines up with lambda. Now that we have a firm grasp on Poisson distribution, let's ask the following question. What is the probability of 9 coffee orders per hour if the average is 12? We'll use the PMF function, also called the probability mass function, from scipy.stats to calculate this. We'll import Poisson from scipy.stats and then call the PMF function with 9 as the first argument and 12 as the second. We see that the probability of 9 coffee orders per hour given lambda equals to 12 is 0.087 or 8.7%. To find the probability of getting 9 orders or less, we will use the CDF function or the cumulative distribution function. As we can see, the probability of getting 9 orders or less is 0.24 or 24%. Since the probabilities add to 1, the complement rule gives us the chance of more than 9 orders by subtracting the cumulative probability from 1. The RVS method randomly generates sample counts drawn from a Poisson distribution with a given average rate. Here we are using the RVS method to generate 10 random numbers following a Poisson distribution with a lambda of 12. This is a quick way to simulate realistic data for practice or analysis. With that, we have come to an end of the third video on statistical analysis in Python. Hopefully next week I'll upload the last video of this series on correlation. If you are learning from my videos, please like, comment and subscribe. See you guys in the next video.